everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for the 2 thumbs up, one person. That's if we can just keep that up, right? Then maybe, probably not, YouTube would pay attention to the videos. 77 views, 154 thumbs up. That'd be good. So again, a lot of stuff to just run over. I'm gonna keep doing this probably a few more times before I start focusing and narrowing down back onto things. Specifically, I want to talk about. I already got a little bit of that lined up. Just a couple of things is kind of an entry point into the stuff that, which is nanotechnology. No secret there, right? And artificial intelligence. But those two are going to become more and more moving forward. Not my choice, right? Just the way. What's up? I think that was Jen. I've seen the message before I seen the name. But welcome. Glad you're here. Before I jump in, that's 2. So I used to for 5 on my last channel. I think it's funny. If I have to create another channel, I think I'll have like a maximum of 30 followers. I was up to 82 at one point, and then I dropped down 77. So the exact same thing on X. Yeah. Actually, I'm back up to 82, but I won't move past that. Seems to be my limit on YouTube as well. Even though there's different people, like you guys aren't the same people on X. How you guys doing? What's up in your lives? Anything? Before we jump on in, is there anything you want to, like, doesn't matter what topic, whatever, anything you want to talk about before I start getting into stuff? Which I say that, right, getting into stuff, but I get so focused on one topic because each one of these topics are extremely important to me in the direction that they're taking everything, right? So I go through and I find like this mainstream propaganda that really does a pretty good job of showing us what they intend for us. As long as you read between the lines, you can get the entire message usually. And they're all important, so I just like to run through some, so I would like to think, and that usually isn't what happens. I end up getting caught up. Let's turn Wi-Fi. All right. I'm going to jump in. The chat is working, right? Got 2 people here. It's Labor Day weekend, and I'm surprised you guys are even here. I'm surprised I'm here. There's an air show. Kind of. I haven't seen but a couple of planes right out my window, so that's cool. That's probably all we're going to get. COVID variant Pyrola, what an interesting name, Pyrola, is spreading fast across the U.S. as new boosters planned for this month, latest. And it's probably a good idea to look into the name, right? Pyrola, see where their origins, how old it is, what does it really mean? It's, prefix and suffix in the root word, and get an idea of what it, like Omicron, for instance, is spreading fast. I know, it's all Greek, but it's Greek to me. Pyrola, I think pi, so 3.14, and what's rho? Rho is a Greek letter. What is it? What letter is it? All right, I'll do this on my own time. It's spreading fast across the U.S. as new boosters planned for this month. Coincidence, right? Oh, we got a new set of boosters. I was reporting on this before this whole COVID thing was resurging. It was evident, right? Once you see that Moderna is laying out contracts with the United States government for the production of millions of new COVID vaccines for some variant that nobody even knows about yet, right? But yet they're going to be protecting us from them. That just goes to show the brilliance and foresight of Moderna and how great they are and how safe and effective these vaccines will be, surely. They showed a new rat. What? Stop. Knock it off. These pop-ups. A new rapidly spreading coronavirus variant has sounded alarm bells for public health experts in the United States. Has it though? Or just the people that happen to be on the payroll, government-funded science, which we're seeing a lot more of these days. You don't want to play ball. You don't want to do the studies we tell you to do and have the results that we tell you to have. You're not going to get that grant you so desperately need to look into the actual things that you did want to look into. And that's how all the universities are being funded right now, and all the good labs are in the universities. Doctors warn that the BA2.86 variant, unofficially called Pyrola for some fucking reason, may be cause for concern as it is newly designated highly mutated. It is highly mutated. It has like 32 different mutations. There once was a time period when these amount of mutations would raise eyebrows with every virologist out there. That's unheard of. It's clearly, some would say, a bioweapon or something that was created in a lab. Unless you're going to try to convince a bunch of people that genetics, even though viruses can adapt quickly, you're still talking about major genetic variations occurring on a massive scale. You're talking in some cases 10% of the entire genome. That's unheard of. It's ridiculous, is what it is. But no, this is the new science, and trust the new science. Trust the science. Period. Right? Like, don't ask questions. This is the new norm. According to a Thursday bulletin in Yale Medicine, damn it with this shit, man. The new variant has more than 30 mutations to its spike protein, and that's the spike protein alone. I can't find out just how many variations the entire virus has. And judging by the way that they're handling this, they literally say more than 30 mutations to its spike protein located on outer surface of the coronavirus. What about in the inner surface? What about the nucleus? The thing that actually holds the DNA. How many mutations to that? Is there anything that may, I don't know, cause anybody that gets infected by this virus to then inhabit those same genes? Like other ones have in the past? In my opinion. Such a high number of mutations is notable. Yeah, I would fucking say so. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Scott Roberts said, when we went from Omicron variant XBB 1.5 to the EG5, that was maybe one or two mutations. But these massive shifts, which we also saw from Delta to Omicron, are worrisome. yeah, they are. A separate mini wave of COVID cases is being fueled by the newest dominant variant EG5 or Eris. I like this. I like the theme. Let's just keep running with that. It has caused hospitalizations to increase by 39% since the end of July. And who knows? Wait, I got some shit to show you. You guys are awfully quiet tonight. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit. That was just my intro. As we come, so shall we go. I'll get back to it. Finnish lawmaker on trial for hate speech for defending traditional marriage. And yeah, we don't live in Finland. I understand. Well, probably. I don't think I have any subscribers that live in Finland. What's up, Pam? Jen? But it's a new world order. And what you see in one place it's just a matter of time before you see it there. And we're seeing this here. We're already seeing this type of stuff here. Or at least the preface to it. I'm sure a lot of you heard about this, but it's essentially what it sounds like. There's no need to really waste time going through it. I've been seeing a big push towards this steadily, and this has been for. I'm sure there was people hundreds of years ago saying the same thing. Like I've been seeing a big push for all the ways, anti-Semitism is all the ways we deny anti-Semitism. Do we? I, it's not. It's not that it doesn't exist to me. There's a lot. Shit, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't really approve of this group or the other group. But what makes that any difference? Why does one certain group get like special treatment? Like yeah, you can make racist. You're protected by your constitutional rights to say these things about this one group, but we have actually built in law anti-Semitism, which is it's like only this group gets these protections. Well, why? Because are we like the Holocaust? Like, what's the reason for that? Like, if you're a people that have gone through worse atrocities, you get more rights, more protections, according to them, anyway, right? Anyway, I've served as a congressional rabbi for a decade or so. My leadership has coincided with an ominous rise in anti-Semitic incidents from vile online threats to the killing of 11 Jews at a Pittsburgh synagogue, which are all questionable in 2018. During that time, I've listened to hundreds of conversations detailing real-life encounters of anti-Semitism. I've heard diverse opinions and wide range of experiences about its nature in the present day, from a swastika drawn in the bathroom to microaggressions in the workplace. That's where it gets a little tricky. Now, this is Time magazine. This is a major publication, a major website. But this is what they're promoting. They can talk about anything that they want, and they know damn well that the power of what they talk about is going to dictate the conversations that are being had. So they focus very carefully, not just about the articles that they want to present, but the actual wording of those paragraphs in that article. And when you include things like microaggressions in the workplace, it's for a good reason. It's because this is slowly and surely, inch by inch, they are taking more and more ground. Where things that used to be unheard of and absolutely beyond ridiculous to even consider the notion of are now becoming more and more commonplace. Microaggression. So how does one determine whether or not you made a microaggression? Do we have some expert that is going to determine that? Are they going to bust out GPT-4 and have you speak to it in a certain way about a certain topic? What's the measure? What's up, Mitz? How you doing, brother? It doesn't matter the measure. It's whoever has their feelings hurt. It's whoever wants to make the claim. It's going to be essentially a free-for-all. Oh, this blah, blah, blah said this. They're making it so you can't. Some things are just untouchable. Some criticisms just can't be had. I know. Don't I say that like every time, Mitz? And you've corrected me like 40 times. Again, sister, but it's next time it's probably going to be the same. I mean, no disrespect. There's a good reason for it on my end, Mitz, but I guarantee you it'll happen almost every time. I've been so ingrained with this that you should just change your name if you're going to jump. Create a new YouTube identity when you get on here. But if I would have thought about it, I would have known too. It's just off the cuff, and it's so incredibly. You're not going to change that, I don't think. I can't, so good luck. You can say it next time as well. That's the whole point on this stuff, really, is just the amount. Like, we see acts. I'm going to keep reading, because I got to feel like it's time, right? It does mean something. These are the propagating networks and channels that we're inundated with day in and day out. This is what we have as our well, most people anyway, as our information sources. And some people like want to get a little bit deeper, so they think, right? And then they go looking and they stumble across your Russell Brands and your Tucker Carlsons. And they're like, no, I got the real scoop, guys. Think about the national conversation around anti Semitism. When Kanye West went on his repugnant rant against Jews in an Alex Jones studio wearing a complete ski mask where his voice sounded like it was coming through a speaker. But let's pay no mind to that at all. And the fact that he disappeared forever, and I still haven't seen convincing photos of him that actually look like him without his shoes off, because the dude that's supposed to represent him happens to be like 3 inches taller. But never mind. He was mentally ill, but both can be true. Or think about social media where anti-Jewish rhetoric has spiked, particularly on X, right? And X, there's no resemblance of free speech on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can't, well, you can say what you want, but what do they say? Freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. That's what the left keeps crying. It's not left. When I talk about left, I talk about the globalist New World Order, not like Democrats. I mean, if you're still buying into that, you should just unsubscribe. But they allow a little bit more than most. And for good reason. I believe that it's going to be used as a major psyop in the future. Just look, oh, they were networking on here, and all this extremist rhetoric and anti-Semitic language, and this synagogue went up, and these attacks keep happening, and we need to shut it down. Look at the dangers of free speech and what this happens every time. I don't like every single tyrannical nation that has slaughtered millions and millions of people. They do this exact same thing, but the people always get on board with it. Oh, no, this time's different. They're saying all the right things this time. Fucking idiots. Yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta keep trying to stay on top of it, but I'm getting a little frustrated with all this stuff. So you're going to see probably a little bit more rawness, and I'm going to try my best to keep it out, like be respectful and profane free. Bras fit small chested women, by the way. Never seen it pop up like that before. All right, let's move on. Whoa, I didn't say that. So we need a new strategy against it. I've been seeing a lot of ADL stuff on Twitter, and guys, I'm not sitting here trying to be anti-Semitic or like, it has nothing to do with that. It's just evident when certain groups start making more. It's whatever way that they choose to do it. Like I don't care what group it is, but it usually tends to be one group. Oddly enough, just saying. But like when they use one group saying like, "Hey, we need to like put a little check and balance on what you guys are able to say, because these microaggressions in the workplace, they're getting out of control. We need to do something. We got to rein it in, and the only way to do that is we're going to have to create this legislation that says no microaggressions in the workplace." Obviously, that sounds ridiculous now, but so many of the things that are happening now sounded ridiculous a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years. Could you imagine thinking about where we are now back in the year 2000, before 9/11? Would any of this even be remotely possible? And a lot of people are still living in that fantasy world. But I'm not going to dwell on it right now. I got better fish to fry, supposedly. I want to cover this again because this is. I can't stop seeing this damn mugshot everywhere. Trump's fans and critics alike are plastering his mugshot on everything from mugs to t-shirts. Here's a roundup of the merch goldmine. Jump on board, guys. That was clear. That's why, I mean, they act like they're going after Trump because he's the one that's standing in the way of the government. Like they want you, but I'm in their way. Okay. But they're promoting you en masse by having your mugshot taken, which any person with the head on their shoulders would know damn well that it didn't backfire. It would only do what their base already believes is them. Oh, they're going after him because he wants to drain the swamp. He wants to get rid of the deep state. And now look, they just keep arresting him and his mugshot, of course. It's all sad. Like, how could you even believe it? Fucking hey, they're just playing us. And so many people that were so close to actually just seeing things for what they were got sucked right back in. Yeah, Jay Cree. And you know what? I would love to believe that this guy was out here, this mogul that had this show, You're Fired, had like 8 wonderful seasons, was going to come on, the Trump mogul, the real estate. But he really wasn't a mogul. A lot of it was his father's success. But anyway, all that aside, he says, oh, well, and he's convincing, but all showmen are. What have they done, right? You can say whatever you want. But what do their actions say? What up, Coots? How you doing, sister? Sorry, dude. I know you're a brother, but I had to make amends to Mitz because I called Mitz bro, basically. And I'll take whatever you want to give. Lock her up. Lock her up. Which I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with locking her up. All right. Let's jump over to. I don't want to. Yeah, the mass shooting stuff. I'm going to skip this one. 500 killed in mass shootings this year, most in at least 10 years. Yeah, since our last New World Order, obvious New World Order president, right? They got to bring out the Trumps to make it look like we're fighting back, just so they can demonize everyone that does. They know what line in the sand and the people on both of those sides of the line, who they are and where they stand. That's the purpose of it. Trump opened to Vivek, of course, right? Because Vivek is the World Economic Forum puppet. He's one of them. He sued the World Economic Forum because they couldn't keep his name out of their mouths as far as a future global leader, right? No, future global leader isn't like just a term they toss around. It's a membership. And then it accidentally put Vivek Ramaswamy's name as a member. No, but you can't run for president having ties on the World Economic Forum for Republican, right? That's not going to go well. And the people, he's suing them, right? He's not one of them. He's suing them. Give me a break, man. And this is what they're trying to lead us into. That's why in December 31st, I made these predictions. U.S. risks civil war over Trump indictments. Clearly, this is the beginning of the election cycle. And what up, Chris? Good to see you. Glad you could be here, brother. Or sister. I'm not even gonna. I understand the trans community now. The United States could be plunged into civil war if the office of Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis is not defunded over the indictment of former President Trump, according to a Republican law. I'm so tired of this stuff, guys. I can't. It's hard to. It's just noise to me at this point. On the other hand, stuff like this kind of is worth paying attention to. Utah man suspected of threatening President Joe Biden shot and killed as FBI served warrant. And the assassination things are picking up on both ends, right? And man, I might be right on this one as well. And if that's the case, this was like 4 or 5 years ago on either one of these guys. Either I don't know. I guess my money would be on Biden. I think it would benefit him more if they're making it look like it would be on Trump, which makes me think Biden even more, really. But it's definitely a strong card to play. Not that I obviously violence and no, it's probably buffering. Don't look like that's going to play. They never do. In our hand, accused of making violent threats against President Joe Biden, was shot and killed by FBI agents hours before the president landed in the state. Special agents were trying to serve a warrant on the home of Craig. This sounds familiar, actually. Home of Craig DeLue Robertson in Provo, south of Salt Lake City, when the shooting happened at 6:15 a.m. FBI said in a statement, Robertson was armed at the time of the shooting. Didn't this just happen again? Like today or yesterday? I think yesterday they had like what was it, Philadelphia? I can't remember the city, but this person was out there being served an eviction notice, and he was a sovereign, you know what, and just happened to answer the door with a machine, or no, wait, what did they say? A military style assault rifle. They had to include that. And it turned out to be this huge event. Like the FBI had been planning probably for months. That's what it looked like. But it's kind of the same thing here. Somebody accused of making threats answers the door with a gun, gets shot. Is this going to be like the new MO? Is this how they might start taking out their political opponents? People that are saying things like sovereignty is important, that our freedoms matter. They want us all amped up, and they want us violent. They want us pissed off. And if we do that, we're screwed. If we fall victim to the games that they're playing, it's over. They will bring in martial law. They will bring in the heavy guns. And it'll be emergent. They'll slap so many emergency orders. All they really need to do is the NDAA of 2012 gave them the permission of any time something like that happens, any national emergency, they can just do it. Which had me. That's why I'm still am worried about their intentions with COVID, with this medical tyranny. But that combined with social tyranny and political tyranny. Hey, New Edge, how you doing? Glad you could join. Notice I left out the identifiers. Making headway. Don't want to assume anybody's gender over here. This is an all-inclusive channel. I'm going to jump just to Mitch McConnell. Not that this is an important story and it means anything. It's just funny watching him freeze up and not say things.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's right.
Did you have a question, Senator? Running for re-election
No,
in 2026?
He's answering the question. They said, what are your thoughts? They didn't ask him to speak. He is sitting there thinking. And those are his thoughts. Based.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
Okay.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Somebody else have a question, please?
I like the more recent one. The more recent one's more dramatic. Let's watch that.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Hey, Mitch. Anything else you want to say? Or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Let's go back to the...
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it. Leave it. Let's go back to...
Go ahead, John.
So this is we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the IRA. And of course, if you look at the ultimate impact of the IRA and what's happening with the economy in the country today, prices continue to rise above the Fed's 2% inflation rate and way.
What's up with your Sky car, Cuts? What'd I miss? Just so you know, guys, blood clots could be the cause of post-COVID brain fog. I had this brain fog that they speak of, and probably susceptible to flashing lights now. It was a very interesting time period. You guys may remember, some of you probably do at least, the optogenetics, which is a very concerning aspect of what they're trying to achieve with a lot of this, especially when you look at, like, I got to be very, very careful talking about this stuff because it always gets me a strike. But yeah, you probably remember. And I was talking about, this was right when I got sick. There was a light outside my bedroom because I live in an apartment complex and they have their own lights, right? And this thing was like just flashing uncontrollably, like in weird frequency. Like, yeah, there was an app you can download that measured the flashes, and then I brought that in and looked up what that frequency does, and it was like, oh, falls under optic, go figure. And there was a lot of, like, just the fact of it alone, and the time that I got sick, and then I was in this brain fog. It was weird, man. It was a weird time. Not to say, like, that's probably, looking at it seriously, is probably a coincidence, I'd imagine. But at the same time, it would be easy to brush everything off as such, right? Like, it's important just to keep tabs of it at least. It's like, hey, if something like this happens again, and you start seeing things, like, just file it away as possibly important. Like this, blood clots could be the cause of post-COVID brain fog. Now, my personal beliefs, I know a lot of people don't even believe viruses exist. I don't subscribe to that camp. There's no way I could. It's just a great, where there's vector viruses that they use to genetically engineer shit with. There's just way too much. It's not even an issue. It's just people that are uneducated on the topic that can say stuff like that, or people trying to push a different agenda. That's my take. Everybody's entitled to think what they want, whatever. But I would imagine that if you're trying to build a control mechanism like this New World Order and this technological dystopia, you're going to use as many things at your disposal as possible. And optogenetics is a big one, and that's not that hard to achieve, right? You can shut off and turn on neurons at will through light. And that used to have to be directly, like, you used to have to opto, what are they called? Those wires. Drawing a blank, but you know what I'm talking about. They used to have those little teeny glass wires that run into the brain and turn on and turn off the light pulses to turn on and off the neurons. That is no longer the case because they're through retinol, and the genes that cause the protein retinol that for your eyes, right? That sounds familiar, like your retina. They figured out that they could do the same thing through your eyes, right? Because everything you see right now is electrical signals. And it's light bouncing off of particles. It's photons. It's the absorption of photons that gets translated into electrical pulses that get carried by your neurons and sent as a chemical signal through your synapses. That's how it works. And that can be hijacked, providing you have the capability to produce certain types of proteins. And you can get these proteins by genetically engineering viruses, vector viruses, to carry these genes. And when they infect you, how do certain viruses infect you? Well, they hijack the cell and cause the cell, when it reproduces, because that's what cells do, they hijack the nucleus and infect that nucleus with the new genome. So every time it produces, it's carrying this. Now, there's been viruses that are able to do this and infect the nucleus and infect the DNA, and the virus itself can be eliminated, but the DNA is forever corrupted with whatever it has been infected with. Good to see you, Pam. Take care. So, I don't trust these waves any more than I trust the jabs. And I don't think, it hasn't done a lot of damage now. That's not to say that the potential isn't there. It just seems like they're laying the groundwork in my case. And brain fog would most certainly be a huge problem. But also, you need an escape route. You need to distance yourself, plausible deniability for the jab, right? For the blood clots that keep showing up over and over and over. And just knocks them both out. You got my email, don't you, Cuts? If not, DM me, brother. I'll gladly. I'm all about interesting things like that, so. I'll be talking about Maui for a while. Social media videos push baseless conspiracy theory, every single time, as of late especially, I hear the CIA created term, conspiracy theory. It's always preceded with baseless. And in this case, it is, in any case, actually, that's why they use it. They want to discredit it, but there's usually a ton of evidence to support it. That's why they're doing damage control and using their propaganda arm to suggest the opposite of what is happening. So, social media video pushes baseless conspiracy theory that blue items were spared from Maui. Now, let's take a look at propaganda, and then let's look at the actual evidence. We'll jump over to my Twitter page, my X page. What a dumbass name. And we'll see what the people on the ground are saying, right? Because that's what you kind of have to do with everything. You clearly cannot go to the AP, CNN, MSNBC, any of the three-letter alphabet gang media networks, any of it, and expect to get any bit of truth unless that truth happens to fall in line with whatever agenda that they're pushing. And usually it doesn't, so they have to just baseless conspiracy theory. These are what people are saying, and we're going to tell you why it's false. AP's assessment, false. The wildfires didn't spare only blue things, with photos and videos clearly showing buildings and objects of many colors both yeah, that's right. They are telling the truth. But those photos they're talking about are miles away from the fire. Those things that survived? Nope. Actually, I'm wrong. Because there is a very peculiar instance where every single building around this peculiar little section of buildings all burn up. And yet, in the middle of it all, which you would think would most certainly burn, these buildings didn't. But that aside, we're talking about blue umbrellas standing in the middle of a clear, disaster of fire, where everything around it is just blackened ash and just. But yet these blue umbrellas are standing. Blue cars. Well, here, enough of me talking, right? Let's look. Let's just jump on over. We'll see if we find any or not. Let's go through a little bit of this stuff, guys. I've been meaning to do this for a while. There's a video that I'm slacking on putting out on my new channel that a couple of you guys have managed to find somehow. God bless you. Oh, yeah, let's take the gander.
All around here.
This is actually what I was just talking about.
Google Maps has updated its images of Maui, of where it was burnt. So I want to show you the images, but I want to show you one spot first of asking, how did this place get set on fire? You see the buildings are burnt there, but there's dirt all around here. In fact, there's even the baseball fields of where it's green with grass, while these other areas are burnt. This is how far away it was, is almost a quarter of a mile away. So how did fire burn that place down, but not the grass? Or
Good
what
question.
about this spot where there's 2 burnt cars? Y'all have seen the video of that. Because as I zoom out, you see that the buildings and everything are fine in the area. So how did they burn so bad that it was like molten metal? Why is realtors going onto YouTube in the areas to where the fire took place, showing houses that stayed and houses that was burnt down. And as you see him pan to this one, well, what is this? This is grass with a burnt down house. In fact, look at this one that I just paused on. There's a kid's toy, plastic, still sitting there. Grass, but house is demolished and burnt down. Could someone tell me these things? Why?
What color is that toy?
So this is also interesting. A couple cars here that were completely burned up right next to one of the townhomes. And you can see the melted metal. So that was a really, really hot fire for sure. These cars are completely burnt up. Makes sense because it's right next to a building. I'm sure that fire was really hot. But then you do have a car here that was also next to that same building that...
What color's the car? Baseless conspiracy theory.
Okay, so this is also cars here that were completely burned up right next to one of the townhomes. And you can see the melted metal. So that was a really, really hot fire for sure.
Look at the trees in front of it. Look at the carnage behind it. You're talking about wildfires. These are spread through the brush, through the trees. But when the trees don't burn, when cars and whole entire residential blocks are incinerated, but the trees are untouched, what happens when you microwave wood? We're talking about microwave direct energy weapons with a blue lens. In my opinion, YouTube.
These cars are completely burnt up. Makes sense because it's right next to a building. I'm sure that fire was really hot. But then you do have a car here that was also next to that same building that did not fully ignite.
Look at the car on the other side of it. Now, this car didn't just roll up. You can tell by the front end damage. Everything around it has been demolished except the more expensive. All the poor houses in Lahaina just somehow magically got destroyed by this hurtful fire. This fire that, I was going to say racist fire, but it's not racist because some of the people that were poor weren't just the natives. There were people that have lived there for a while but weren't native to the island. But all the rich people, on the other hand, none of their shit got destroyed. It just magically jumped it. How does that happen?
It's just kind of melted in the front. And here's another one, completely burnt up. Okay, so this is also interesting. A couple cars.
Many cities that they call districts, where your building is going to have 500 or 600 units for living, then it's going to have office space, then it's going to have retail, all in the same building. Meanwhile, it's only going to have a few parking spaces. They're literally putting huge signs in the streets, and they all look exactly the same, and it says City of Toronto rezoning, and they are all identical. You'll see a building that was there previously getting torn down, and you're going to see what they call a mixed-use development, and it has residences on top, office buildings and retail in the middle and the bottom, and then
Black Mirror showed us a lot of this. Black Mirror's predictive programming is getting you used to the lifestyle in which we are going to be a part of. Unless I don't, Kutz, I don't. I could set one up for future videos. Yeah, I could definitely do that. I gotta try to. Good.
almost
Thanks for interrupting with a good question, because I talk too much, man.
No infrastructure for parking. There's not even enough parking for the people living there. You're supposed to live upstairs, work somewhere in the building, go to the gym or your Starbucks or your grocery store, everything in the building. So basically, you're living on lockdown your entire life, just like they wanted you to do with COVID. Remember with COVID when you were on lockdown and they said you couldn't go more than 5 kilometers away from your house? Well, if you don't have a car, guess what? You're never going to go more than 5 kilometers away from your house. And that's what the 15-minute city is designed to do. Designing these new little
So I'm not personally sure how true all of that really is. So I'm not personally sure how.
So they're putting out bogus news articles to confuse people about things, right? That way they can go back, the mainstream media can go back and say conspiracy theory, about Maui is untrue, and it will be untrue. And they'll put out enough of these articles where it's going to confuse the normies, the people that, are just your everyday people that go about their lives working, and then they come home and try to figure, they don't even really try to figure stuff. They trust that the information that's being given to them has at least a semblance of truth. And none of it does anymore. None of it. And it hasn't for a long time, but they've been asleep too long, right? They've been given their creature comforts for too long. A well-fed and well-rested society is an easily manipulated society.
And Dwayne Johnson, the guy that plays the same character in every fucking movie, decided to take it upon themselves to ask you for your money to donate to their fundraiser. These motherfuckers are worth millions, if not billions, but they're asking you for your money. Gas prices everywhere is damn near $5. Rent is crazy. Inflation is crazy. We got Sleepy Joe in office. We got a corrupt system, but they want your money. It never ceases to amaze me, man. Like, are they doing this shit on purpose? How stupid do you think we are as a people to send the last little bit money to you motherfuckers fundraiser so you all can write it off in tax and collect? And who knows, majority of that money that we send it won't even make it to the great nation of Hawaii. You can't make this shit up, man. I'm telling you, you can't make this shit up. The audacity of these motherfuckers sitting here on video, bro. And Dwayne just smiling. He's doing his little sexy acting, his little sexy, he thinks it's sexy. He's doing his little acting, smiling at the camera and shit with the little fucking model smile. I don't think nothing funny. This motherfucker sitting here smiling. I don't think nothing funny, man. That city was destroyed, and this countries on the brink of not only war, but brink of just destruction. Nobody can afford nothing. But this motherfucker here, smiling, while she sit there where fucking... these motherfuckers, man. All right, so open...
These motherfuckers, man.
This is our house. Oh, crap. This was our street. Baby, where are you? Baby, where are you?
See where our house was right here.
Funny how all those buildings are burnt, but all the trees are standing. Like, how? What type of wildfire was this? This was the wildfire that didn't take out the wild.
You used to not be able to see the house because of all the buildings in the way, but it's a straight shot to our home. Oh my God.
So, wait, what the hell? Wait, was that?
This was our house.
This is
This
Luakini.
was our garage. This.
Guys, I've seen videos where they take like you know those aluminum bars on the top of vehicles where you can like rack stuff to, tie and clamp, whatever you need to do. Those things have been burnt, not to the point of melting, but they were hit with so much heat so fast that they turned where he grabbed it and it crumbled into powder. That is not indicative of any fire. That is something that happens to something that I've never seen before. And I know a thing or two about chemistry. That's a reaction that you need like microwave for. Just saying, man. Like there's so much stuff to this. That's to me. I'm certain. I know what the fuck they did, and that's why this is so important to me, because this is the first, like 9/11. Fine, like you could debate this back and forth. I believe that what I view has more evidence, but the people that I would debate would say the same, right? Because it's all, there's not a whole lot of, they destroyed all the evidence pretty damn quickly, right? This, on the other hand, it's really hard to dismiss because some of the just the evidence that is just out in front of your face is very, very suspect. It's like, well, this has never happened. Like, how does, and the implications of that, where they can burn you out of your, and they'll say climate change every time. Every single time it's going to be climate change. And it's going to be your fault, carbon producer. And the only solution is whatever they have in store, which is the 17 goals of sustainability. And the first two on the list are like eliminate people, right? Eliminate hunger and eliminate poverty. You're not going to do that in a world, period, unless you eliminate people. There's always going to be poor people. Anyway, that's another video in itself.
Next block right here.
This was our house.
Was our downstairs.
Busted our ass, and this is what we get. Nobody called us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was still there. There was no water. Tell me if that's a coincidence. No water, no warning. And everybody talking about the satellite city before the fire. Lahaina gonna be the first satellite city. Well, hey, Jeff Bezos, you got what you wanted. Oprah, you got what you wanted. And the guy who owns the nut, you got what you wanted. Fuck us all over. That's what happened. We need help in Lahaina. Who's gonna come now and ask us, can I pray for you, Auntie? Thank you. Can I help you with...
You know the next move? They're taking all these people that their ancestors have lived on this island for generations upon generations. And now that they've incinerated it all and burnt these people's entire lives and memories to absolute ashes, they're going to push them off into a major city in the inland, coming from paradise into absolute hell. I feel for these people, man. Like, I wish I had it as good as I did, but that doesn't make me want them to have to go through this. Like they did. They lived on paradise. Good for their ancestors that went there and seen what it was and was like, yes, let's live here. And then they get pushed out as more and more. Like, that's prime real estate, especially with the smart cities. They're first on the list. First on the list. And Ukraine's next. These are cities that they have their eyeballs on as creating smart cities for. And lo and behold, Lahaina was burnt to a crisp so it could match. So all the natives, all the people that live there that now, yes, are poor, but they're not poor. They're just poor to the billionaires that have enough money to buy residential zones and rent them out to millionaires. These are just regular people that have lived there, and their parents lived there, and their grandparents, and so on. But that's inconvenient. Their property's inconvenient. The farmland that they have, very inconvenient. Takes up acres and acres and acres. That this was addressed. These conversations were had before any of this went down. Laws were they created new law, new emergency powers before this event happened. And if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. And it may take time. They're going to go for the best real estate first. But if you live in the suburbs, your ass is leaving. You're not living in the suburbs forever. Unless we make a change.
Your paperwork. Because all we got so far was
Are you starting to connect the dots yet? That's the question we need to be answering. The media is telling all of us that the death toll will remain a mystery for some time now. It's been 3 weeks since the Maui Fire massacre, and we're all still left with the same questions. Where are the missing children? What happened to the kids? How many of them perished?
Now we're hearing reports that over 2,000 children right now are unaccounted for in Lahaina public schools. 2 weeks.
9/11 was one of the biggest tragedies ever. There's 2,300, 746 people. I don't know if that number's right. But there was over 2,500 people, maybe 3,000 people that died. They won't release the numbers, and they will not talk about the number of children missing for some reason. And why would that be the case? Why would they be doing this? When you would want to garner as much support as possible, and 2,000 missing children is the best way to do that. But they're pushing it under the rug. They're trying to ignore the story.
Following the fire, and this is according to the Hawaii State Department of Education. This is not according to a TikToker. This is not according to Twitter. This is according to the Hawaii State Department of Education, who is documenting who's showing up in school and who isn't. So for anybody out there that tries to snoop, so will come out here and they'll try to say, well, we're fact checking this with our BS meter, and we're going to just automatically deflect on any stories about it. Well, then maybe you should turn to the people you look up.
For anybody wondering who this person is right now, this is the beginning of the end. It used to be a call for an uprising. I'm sure if you're following me, you already know who he is. I've had my differences with him in the past. However, I've been listening to his recent stuff, and there's a certain passion in his voice that only comes when you're genuine. So I've never said he wasn't. I just thought it was awfully strange that he was able to get away talking about certain things in vaccines when I wasn't, with much bigger following. And I'm not saying he's 100% legit. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I have not enough on either way. And he does sound... The dude cares, man. You can't fake certain tones in people's voices. I don't care how good of an actor you are. There's something that's real in certain people that feel a certain way.
Up to the most, which is the government, who are even admitting in Hawaii that over 2,000 children have not shown up yet to school. Now, we all obviously have heard reports from so many people in Maui, so much so that even local media outlets have picked up on the story, claiming that the numbers that they're giving in regards to the amount of people missing is nowhere near. In fact, the number seems to be edging closer to the amount of people that we lost on the 11th of September. Yet you don't hear this pumped and pushed as a national tragedy. Why? Well, too many people were too suspicious of what they saw with their own eyes.
2,000 children are missing with no answers yet, and they keep trying to shrink that number down and minimize it without any justification. Mainstream media is not showing you the actual terror and tragedy the Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii fire victims went through.
It's really bad out here. It's really bad. People are finding whole families in cars that are...
Why would they be finding families in cars? How fast do you need to be incinerated before you exit the vehicle? Most of the people that died in the cars were on a road that was literally parallel to the ocean, to the beachfront, First Street. And they keep finding entire families in their cars. They keep finding cars without their doors open, which if you're going to burn alive, your first instinct is going to be get the fuck out of the car. Go for the water. But these people were like vaporized. Almost. Like, not skeletons, like a normal wildfire. Like, people, criminals. I've watched enough of this. I've seen enough of it. People that burn vehicles, and they have to do like skeletal analysis and stuff like that to find out the age and blah 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 blah, because they're still skeletons. This is like ash skeletons, just like the aluminum bars I was talking about on the hoods of these cars that when you grab them they just turn to dust. This is not wildfire heat we are talking about. These are microwaves.
Just charcoal and fried. My best friend Michelle, her brother's family, just in the car. They find the car and they find mom and dad in the front seat and the 3 kids in the back. The other bad thing is that school was out that day that the fire raged through Lahaina. So parents were at work and all the kids were at home. So there's massive amounts of children who perished.
As Hurricane Idalia arrived in Florida, we saw residents being told to hurry up, fill up their gas tanks before it arrives. Then they alerted everyone that the gas was contaminated with diesel fuel. Diesel fuel.
You guys heard about that one, right? How does that mistake happen? People that have been doing the same every day, all of a sudden they fill up all their. You can't make this shit up. I actually think that's what a call said. It's like you can't make this stuff up, man. Like even if you were to make a movie of this, it's too unbelievable that they would probably axe the script. Oh, they go to leave, but all of a sudden they all filled up with diesel because the gas stations accidentally put. Come on, it's ridiculous. That shit doesn't happen. Oh no, but it does when you. Give me a break.
In a regular engine means those vehicle engines are suddenly going to die as the people try to escape and flee the hurricanes.
In Maui, no water, no power, no sirens. It's just weird. It doesn't make sense. Then now, British Columbia, same thing. Not letting them go in, not letting them go out, not letting people volunteer to help. They also don't have water. It's a mess. And now we have Florida. An accident? So they tell them to go get gas to prepare for this hurricane so they can get out of there. They go get this gas, and it's all diesel. And everybody wants to pretend like it's a coincidence. It's not. Only Florida, the areas where they need to be evacuated, now there's people broken down on the highways. It's just a coincidence, right? Just a coincidence. Come on. Please, seriously, just look at it yourself.
It seems we have to look out for ourselves as the battle is between good and evil at this point.
What are we to do? What have we become but a nation of destructive behavior? This is now a war against all of us.
You think we're bad guys?
Now, I agree with that sentiment, guys. It is a war against all of us. And I've been saying this since my very first videos. And I've been doing this over 15 years. Across, like 8 or 9 channels now? 8 channels. And air show. What's the move? Like, we know COVID's coming back. We know that's, like I said, it's always going to be a force multiplier. They're always going to have that, and they're going to use it, and they're going to push it and push it and push it to get us to do whatever it is that they want. Just think about the tyranny that we've seen during that. Like, you've seen grandmas on park benches getting slammed to the ground and handcuffed for sitting too close to people. You've seen people getting choked out holding their children in their arms because they weren't wearing a mask. You've seen black kids' skulls being cracked open because they weren't wearing masks and they were sitting on their steps. You've seen people being dragged off of beaches with not a single person in view because the beaches were unsafe. There's always going to be order followers. There's always going to be people that want to be in the good graces of the powerful. They don't know that they're being used. They don't know that they're just another pawn in the game. They think that if they only do what they're being asked of, and they take a certain glee in it as well. It's just a personality type. I don't know what it is, but... And they're atrocious people. And they'll do the dirty bidding of these people. And we're going to be surrounded by it. And the dictates are going to become more and more insidious, evil, horrible. And we're going to see things done to our common man. That you would never think possible, ever. You're gonna see things that I hope when you do whatever you can to make sure that you try to prevent it. And I hope there'll be enough people like this out there. Because though I don't condone violence in any measure, I certainly condone using it if it's being used against you first. What's up, Carmen Doc? Thank you so graciously for donating. And again, Jen as well. Lifesaver. Truly, I really, truly, truly, truly appreciate it. I was actually thinking about doing something else too. But I can't. I don't have it doesn't matter. Forget what I just said. I just thank you. That's all. I don't know what to do yet. There's not the numbers there to, and I wouldn't. I don't know, man. I don't know. This stuff is like right. I mean, it's here. It's not even. It's just gonna get worse from here is the problem. And at what point do we say like enough's enough? And that point, you know why that point will never come is because people would only do that when they feel that, well, most people will only do that when they feel safe to do that. And they will never feel safe to do that because the media is always going to put out articles like I started this video with, where they show, like Joe Biggs just got 17 years. 17 years for being a member of the Proud Boys, essentially. Yeah, he entered the Capitol and he took down a fence. 17 years. Anybody that has a political ideology, and if you're watching this, if you're a subscriber to this channel, I can pretty much guarantee you that you're the very people that they want the most. You think for yourself and you're after the truth. And that makes you the number one enemy. You are the most dangerous person as far as they're concerned. And it's going to continue. They're going to continue staging things. They're going to continue having these manifestos come out so we get an insight to the psychology of these people until they have enough where they say, hey, we know what to look for. And we need to just get these people ahead of time before they act. When really that was never the case. None of us were ever violent. All we wanted was freedoms and to protect those freedoms from tyranny, which our forefathers did and warned us and escaped it successfully and set up a wonderful country and did their best to set up a law, a framework to protect those. But it's just like, and you're never, what does a piece of paper mean to people that regard life as nothing? This isn't like a regular battle. This isn't a regular war. This is spiritual warfare. We're playing on a different level this time.
Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone else see that?
That's strange. So, great channel here. They don't say what it is.
To a small little town in the middle of the Pacific. If the people won't respond to a small little town in the middle of the Pacific Ocean where they go for their personal refuge, for their vacation, for what they call paradise.
I think it's called Maui Real Estate. Puts out really good stuff.
For what is paradise. If they won't respond to children.
Climate is everything. How the pandemic can lead us to a better, greener world. I didn't even see this. That says it all right there, guys. Pandemic, like I said, is their force multiplier. Climate change is their war. And they're going to use, everything's going to be climate. Because they have the weapons at their disposal. They have the ability to manipulate the climate now. They've been working at it for a long time. Now they've achieved it, and they're going to use it against us. And the whole time, the pandemic, man, you put these two together, like, how do you defeat it? Knowledge, right? Speaking about it, sharing it, letting people know, like anytime there's a bit of truth or like people that you feel need to be amplified, share it, get it out there. But that's only going to last so long till the lights go out this winter. I'm going to get wrapping it up, guys. I appreciate you being here. Fuck it. Don't share the video. Don't get it out there. Thumbs down it. Don't leave a comment. It doesn't do any good anyway. See you later, P4. Peace. Much love.